in this type of industry go very fast. So if you're no longer actively involved in the process, your knowledge, yeah, becomes very quickly outdated. That's why in specific areas we make agreements with companies, such as the employer at the time that she was here. She was employed by Atos, that is a very big ICT service provider. Uh, it's by origin a French company, but Sugant is working out of the Netherlands. So that is a good example of how PUM tries to keep its knowledge, up to date and well connected to what is happening in the world. In particular, for incubators, that is very important because incubators are supposed to be at the cutting edge of whatever is happening in the world. You're not there to reinvent something which is known to mankind already for a century. You're there to come up with wonderful new ideas, try to put them into practice to the benefit, hopefully not just of yourselves, but also to the society at large, because that has developed itself into a successful enterprise and establish itself in the market. That's already quite some success. And then once every so many years you get this startup that turns into a unicorn, later on take the whole world by storm. But that only happens very seldom. So our view is somewhere in the city center of big cities that make people from rural areas decide that it's better for them to move to Bangalore, Mumbai, or whatever major city, and that causes two problems. One is these big cities become pretty grim places to live because there is this constant influx of people coming from the outside to the inside, hoping to build a better life for themselves and to get a better job and to make more money. So it's all very understandable. And on the other side, uh, it causes a lot of issues in the rural areas in India because, on average, the more talented people are the first people that can afford to make the move to the major city. So the people that are left behind are the less fortunate. And that means for the local communities, there is some issues that actually in countries like the Netherlands we used to deal with that, which is you have an aging population. And we know by our own experience that that poses quite some challenge. So as PUM, we believe that one of the best things to make rural India, and I'm not referring to some remote places, but places outside of, let's say, the 25 or so mega cities that we have in the country. So I wouldn't count Amritsar. It's technically not a rural area, but it's also not a mega city. So sort of it's in between. It's very important, I think, for the future of India that these places remain attractive places for young people to want to build a career and a business for themselves. Now, all of you know that traditionally in India, if a son or a daughter sort of is in the process of, okay, what sort of education would be suited for me and what choices can I make, that parents have this wish list, and on top of the wish list is usually army, police, some other government job for their child, which is considered to be wonderful, because then for the rest of his or her life you don't have to worry. Yeah, but of course, as a country, you not just need army, policemen, and civil servants, you need entrepreneurs. Believe me, only entrepreneurs create jobs, they create wealth, they create opportunities in society. Um, so creating new businesses, new entrepreneurs is the top priority, and I'm sure that's part of the reason why Prime Minister Modi is investing quite some money in this. So India is a great place for us to work in incubators. Uh, Youth entrepreneurship, actually coupled with women entrepreneurship, because the other thing about society, also in India, is that you have a massively underutilized pool of talent in the country, and it's called women. Women, with some exceptions, are being underutilized. They have talent, and if they get the opportunity to develop these talents and to apply them in practice, you get a massive positive impact on your talent pool. And I can tell you that in many businesses, women are actually excellent entrepreneurs. They only need to be given the opportunity. And that is not always easy depending on where you are in terms of position and location. So that is why PUM also works together with organizations like Women on Wings that want to help women to make the step to own their own business and to grow their own business. So that is coupled to our incubator activities, so it's women and youth. We generally speaking do not work, and I'm sure that the PUM experts that already have been here have made that clear. We don't, generally speaking, work with individual startups. The numbers don't add up. So there's so many startup companies that we will need thousands of very good experts to deal with that. So what we have chosen deliberately is that we work with startup incubators. Because the incubators is the place where hopefully a lot of startup companies can thrive and successfully be delivered to the market. And we've seen over the years quite some good startup incubators in India. And I come, by the way, your incubator is one of the better examples of startup incubators in India. We've seen quite a few, and as a matter of fact, we'll be spending 2.5 days in Punjab to talk to various startup incubators. But we already know that you're in the top 3 or whatsoever in the States, so that is outstanding. That is also why we are committed to continue to work with you, because you can see that good progress is being made. The next step, and I was very happy to also see that in your video, is that a startup incubator that operates in splendid isolation, so in itself, is not very well positioned to be successful. So the incubator needs to be embedded in a network in which private sector is there to help shape the direction, to provide the leadership, the mentorship that the startups need, because they need to validate some of their thinking. And of course, faculty members or university professors and academia in general is one important element of that effort. But the other side is it needs to be grounded in something which is of value in the end to the industry. So I'm sure that many of you are aware of how this is being dealt with in developed economies such as the US, the UK, or the same method, they're specific industries. So let's take the simple example of agriculture. Yeah. The role of government is important. It's not just the money that comes from government to facilitate some of this, but it's also government needs to create certain conditions by which it is there is this triangle. So government needs to facilitate, academia has an important role in terms of developing and mentoring and providing the intellectual property that goes into this. And the other dimension is the private sector. That if you are confronted, there's so much that AI or precision farming can do to improve the chances of success of the farming community. So if the university supplies a steady stream of talented students to the market that graduate, and then if the university and the farmers are well connected, such that the university understands what the challenges are on a day-to-day basis for the farmer. The farmers understand what is cooking, so to speak, in the university, either in the faculty or in the startup incubator, it doesn't matter. These are some of the conditions for success. And this is how, for instance, from my resume, you can see that I've spent my whole working career in the technology industry, in the semiconductor industry, and later in the software industry. So I have actually traded in hundreds of startup companies, either sold them or bought them. I've managed my own startup company. Unfortunately, I did not fail because there is a lot more learning in failing than in succeeding, but that's beside the point. Startup companies need to be embedded in a healthy environment. Otherwise, it becomes academic, it becomes theoretical, and it becomes meaningless to society. So startup companies are not sort of like an add-on to a university degree. It is the end of a phase for the student and the beginning of a new life. And that, I think, is the most important part. So as from our experts, this is what we believe is the better way of proceeding with startup incubators. And I think that is also well aligned with the thinking here at Jubilee. So we are very happy with the cooperation, and we would very much like to continue to work with you. And in the end, of we all hope that there's going to be quite some successful startups delivered to the marketplace, that they're going to make a contribution to society, not just in Punjab, but well beyond, because the world has become a smaller place. And to finish off, I find it very interesting, also a little bit disturbing, that I come from a city called Eindhoven, which is a top technology city in Europe. And there is what we call a high-tech campus, which has about 500 major companies that are in the tech sector. It has about 700 startup companies in the tech sector. And there is 15,000 talented people from India that have decided that it's for them better place to spend their time and energy in setting up a startup than it is someplace in India. That is wrong. India suffers from a significant brain drain. You know that much better than I do. So some of the most talented people from India have decided for themselves that their future is in a faraway country. And the chances that some of these people then in the end return to India is sort of not very good. Yeah? And that is, I think, the challenge for startup incubators and for government in India to start creating. You can't tell people please don't do this because people do whatever they want to do. India is fortunately democracy, so people have the freedom to choose. So apparently their perception is India is not the best place for me to set up my business. Someplace else, and if they're successful, maybe they're gonna stay there for at least a very long time. So it's a joint challenge for Indian government, Indian universities, startup incubators, industry to give these talented people a few very good reasons why they want to build their business in India. So that is my hope for the future and look forward to being part of that. Okay, questions?
Maybe we can gain so we will see that maybe Microsoft will take initiative, maybe we can cluster, there is small group, and we identify what are the problems, and then we can invite them up and discuss, then we will communicate that what kind of skills we require, maybe 15 minutes long, we can help our farmers. So, I mean, we are going to have a little discussion on this in the evening. We have Ravinder Sahu, he's from Institute of Energy. He's the director of CPET on this side. So we are now tying up with CPET also, so we can help our students to build their internship and their skill. Any point we use
one point. Shall we concentrate on farming and textile? Why not for sports and surgical?
yes,
There are also wide scope.
Yes. Nutrition, diet, sports, wellness, and healthcare. In the evening, we are going to discuss all these issues. But we are going to discuss because we have identified some of the sectors. So we are going to discuss. So because we have limited time now, so I must thank our experts and all, and from all the way from Netherlands, and I request Simran to extend a formal vote of thanks to all our guests, and after that we will go upstairs for a cup of tea, and I'll have an internal meeting with some experts. And from my behalf and the university behalf, sorry to Dhanyavad. Sorry, I was very smart to is left here. So I thank everybody. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, any interactive session, whenever we all come together, it's about the energy and the exchange of ideas that we bring, which is something that we're going to take today with us. And I believe that when we are initiating a journey, there's need of that one believer, somebody who believes your idea. We are all present here today at Golden Jubilee Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And the believer behind this idea is our respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jaspal Singh Sandhu. I request you all to give a huge round of applause for him. As far as our collaboration with PUM is concerned, I think every time we have had an expert, it's been so enlightening. They've brought in so much knowledge. And what happens is that we have a lot of questions in our minds. But one thing that really takes us on the road where we have a feasible idea, where we know something is feasible now is simple solutions. Somebody who's able to guide us with simple solutions and not make things very much difficult. And that is what Palm brings to GGC AI. A huge round of applause for experts today, Mr. Edwin Whitlock, Dr. Liam Hassan, and Mr. Kiyaji. We've talked about the believer, but we always need somebody who's putting things to action. And as far as in Infinity, this incubation center is concerned, that force behind whatever we are having here today is Dr. P.K. Patil. Because we are all bringing up our ideas here, but somebody who is connecting us with the experts, somebody who's bringing us all together is him. And I think his role is just very precious for all of us. I'd like to thank Ms. Aman Jyoti, faculty from Mass Communication Department, and everybody who is present here from the press. Your role is very much appreciated. And every time when we are ending a session here, something that I like to do is because whenever we are present in a room, I just believe that our life stops here for a while. And something that we need to leave here is the energy. A huge round of applause for each one of us. Thank you so much on behalf of Golden Jubilee Center for Entrepreneurship and
Let
Innovation.
me introduce Simran. Simran is our head student. He is a student of this university, this was scholar, and she is the face of our e-spotlight program. So thank you, Simran. I think now we need to break for tea. Sorry, Thank you.